Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is November 734 Lima Papa declaring an emergency. The familiar words escaped Jack Harmon's lips before he even realized what he was saying. Old habits die hard, especially when your 6-year-old daughter's science fair volcano has just erupted all over your only clean dress shirt, and you're already late for the most important job interview of your life. If you're enjoying this story of unexpected second chances and the collision of two worlds, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us life's turbulence often leads to the smoothest landings. Jack hadn't sat in a cockpit in 3 years. Not since the accident that took his wife and nearly claimed his career. The nightmares still came, though less frequently now. The screech of metal, the blinding flash, the deafening silence that followed. He'd survived physically intact but emotionally grounded, his wings clipped by the NTSB investigation that cleared him of wrongdoing but couldn't clear his conscience. Now, at 38, the former Air Force captain and commercial airline pilot was just another single dad trying to keep his life from spiraling into a tailspin. His daughter, Emma, was his only passenger now, and he was determined to give her a smooth flight through childhood despite the severe turbulence they'd already weathered. "Daddy, I'm sorry about your shirt," Emma said, her blue eyes, so like her mother's, welling with tears as she stared at the orange baking soda mixture dripping down his front. "It's okay, copilot," Jack said, using his old term of endearment. "We'll navigate through this. We always do." 20 minutes later, after a frantic shirt change and a quick call to his neighbor Mrs. Patel who agreed to watch Emma, Jack was speeding toward downtown. Westridge Innovations was looking for a new operations manager, and while it wasn't flying, it was a steady paycheck with benefits, something his dwindling savings account desperately needed. The sleek glass tower of Westridge Innovations loomed ahead, a monument to modern success that made Jack feel small in his second-hand suit. He was 15 minutes late, his resume clutched in slightly trembling hands as he approached the receptionist. "I'm Jack Harmon. I have an appointment with HR about the operations manager position." The receptionist's perfectly manicured fingers tapped at her keyboard. "I'm sorry, Mr. Harmon, but it seems they've already moved on to the next candidate due to your tardiness." Jack's heart sank. "Please, I had a family emergency. I'm a single father, Anne." "I understand, but punctuality is highly valued at Westridge." As Jack turned to leave, a commanding voice cut through the lobby. "Thunderbird 1, is that you?" Jack froze. Only one person had ever called him that. He turned slowly, disbelieving. Alexandra Chen, CEO of Westridge Innovations, stood before him in an impeccable charcoal suit, her dark hair swept into a professional updo that couldn't quite hide the rebellious curl at her temple, the same curl he remembered tucking behind her ear a lifetime ago in flight school. "Alex?" The name felt foreign on his tongue after so many years. Her professional smile faltered for just a moment. "Captain Harmon. It's been a long time." The receptionist looked between them, confusion evident. "Ms. Chen, do you know this applicant?" "We served together," Alex said simply, though the words carried the weight of 1,000 untold stories. "Mr. Harmon, would you join me in my office? I believe we have some catching up to do." The elevator ride to the executive floor was silent, charged with unspoken history. Jack stole glances at the woman beside him, no longer the fearless flight lieutenant he'd known, but something more formidable now. The doors opened to reveal a corridor of glass and steel, as sleek and controlled as the woman who owned it. "Nice operation you've got here," Jack said, attempting to break the tension. A far cry from the cockpit. "Different altitude, same principles," Alex replied, leading him into a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. "Precision. Strategy. Calculated risks." She gestured for him to sit, then took her place behind an imposing desk. For a moment, neither spoke, each taking measure of how time had changed them. "You disappeared," she finally said. "After Afghanistan. After we. I got married," Jack interrupted. Had a daughter. Flew commercial for a while. And now you're applying for an operations manager position with no corporate experience? Her tone wasn't unkind, just direct, the Alex he remembered. Jack met her gaze. My wife died 3 years ago. Plane crash, ironically enough. I was the pilot. Alex's professional veneer cracked, genuine shock registering on her face. Jack, It was mechanical failure. Nothing I could have done, according to the investigation. But I haven't flown since. Couldn't. He swallowed hard. Emma needs stability. She needs me grounded. Alex was silent for a long moment, studying him with those penetrating eyes that had once seen through all his defenses at 30,000 feet. The operations manager position has been filled, she finally said. Jack nodded, rising to leave. I understand. It was good seeing you, Alex. I wasn't finished, she said sharply. That position isn't right for you anyway. I need a director of safety and emergency protocols. Someone who understands crisis management from the inside out. Someone who's faced the worst and survived. Jack stared at her. You're offering me a job? Just like that? Nothing about this is just like that, Thunderbird 1. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. I've built this company on recognizing talent and opportunity when they present themselves. Even when they're 15 minutes late and covered in. She gestured to his hastily changed shirt, which still bore a faint orange stain at the collar. Volcano Science Project, Jack explained with a rueful smile. My daughter's very enthusiastic about geology these days. Something softened in Alex's expression. How old is she? 6. Going on 30. Pride crept into his voice despite his professional surroundings. She's the reason I get up every morning. Alex nodded, then pressed the intercom. Janet, clear my afternoon. And have HR send up the director package. She turned back to Jack. Let's talk terms. And then maybe you can tell me about your daughter. That afternoon marked the beginning of Jack's unexpected new flight path. The job offer was generous, more than generous, with flexible hours that accommodated Emma's school schedule and enough security to finally put down roots. But as the weeks passed, it became clear that returning to Alex's orbit would be the greater challenge. Westridge Innovation specialized in advanced communication systems, including next-generation aviation technology. Jack found himself drawing on his pilot experience daily, his intimate knowledge of cockpit operations proving invaluable as they developed safer, more intuitive interfaces. For the first time since the accident, his past felt like an asset rather than a burden. Working closely with Alex, however, stirred memories he'd long suppressed. They had been more than fellow pilots once, much more, until duty and ambition pulled them in different directions. Now, as they collaborated on projects, that old chemistry resurfaced in unexpected moments, a shared laugh over aviation jargon that confused the engineers, the synchronized way they approached problems, the comfortable silence that fell between them when they worked late. Emma, perceptive beyond her years, noticed the change in her father almost immediately. You smile more now, she observed one evening as Jack helped her with homework. Is it because of your boss lady? Jack nearly choked on his coffee. What makes you say that? Emma shrugged with the casual wisdom of childhood. You talk about her a lot. And your eyes get crinkly at the corners, like they used to in the pictures with Mom. The observation hit him like turbulence, unexpected and jarring. He hadn't allowed himself to think of Alex that way. Wouldn't allow it. His life was about Emma now, about stability and safety, not complicated feelings for his boss who had her own empire to run. But fate, like weather patterns, rarely cooperates with a pilot's flight plan. 3 months into his new position, Jack was working late, finalizing safety protocols for a new aviation communication system. The office was nearly empty when Alex appeared in his doorway, her usual polished appearance slightly rumpled after a day of investor meetings. "Still at it, Captain?" she asked, leaning against the doorframe. Jack looked up, offering a tired smile. "Old habits. Never could leave the pre-flight check half done." She entered, settling into the chair across from him. "That's what made you the best pilot in our squadron. Thorough to a fault." "Not thorough enough," he murmured before he could stop himself. Alex's expression grew serious. "The accident wasn't your fault, Jack. I read the NTSB report." He stared at her. "You what? Did you think I'd hire you without doing my homework?" She held his gaze. "The fuel line fracture couldn't have been detected during pre-flight. No pilot could have saved that plane once it happened. I should have tried something different. A different approach angle, Stop." Her voice carried the same authority it had when she'd commanded her own aircraft. "You did everything by the book. The fact that you survived at all was a miracle of piloting skill." Jack looked away, the familiar guilt rising like a storm cloud. "My wife didn't survive. Emma's mother didn't survive. And you've been punishing yourself ever since." Alex leaned forward. "Jack, I've watched you these past months. You're still the most capable person I've ever known, but you're flying with the weight of the world strapped to your wings. At some point, you have to release it or you'll never truly soar again." Her words hung in the air between them, too close to truths he wasn't ready to face. Jack gathered his papers, suddenly needing space. "It's late. Emma will be wondering where I am." Alex nodded, accepting his retreat. "Bring her to the company picnic this weekend. I'd like to meet this copilot of yours." The company picnic was held at a local park, complete with games, food trucks, and a small carnival area for children. Jack arrived with a nervous Emma clutching his hand, her eyes wide at the festive scene. "There are so many people, Daddy," she whispered. "Just colleagues," he assured her. "And look, there are other kids too." Emma's grip loosened slightly as she spotted the bounce house and face painting station. "Can I go play? Let's get settled first, and then." Thunderbird 1. Alex's voice carried across the lawn as she approached, dressed casually in jeans and a Westridge Company t-shirt, a stark contrast to her usual corporate armor. Emma looked up at Jack. "Is that your call sign, Daddy? Like when you were a pilot?" Before Jack could answer, Alex reached them, her smile warm as she knelt to Emma's level. "You must be the famous Emma. Your dad talks about you all the time." She extended her hand formally. "I'm Alexandra Chen. Your dad and I used to fly planes together." Emma's shyness evaporated at the mention of flying. "Daddy doesn't fly anymore. He says he's grounded." Alex's eyes met Jack's briefly before returning to Emma. "Sometimes the best pilots need a break. But once you have wings, they're always part of you." Emma considered this with serious contemplation. "Did you have a call sign too?" "Phoenix," Alex replied. "Because no matter what happened, I always rose from the ashes." "That's pretty," Emma decided. "Can I go to the bounce house now, Daddy?" Jack nodded, watching as his daughter ran off with newfound confidence. "She doesn't usually warm up to people so quickly." "She's your daughter," Alex said simply. "Good judgment must be genetic." The day unfolded with unexpected ease. Jack found himself relaxing as Emma integrated seamlessly into the company event, making friends with other children and even helping at the three-legged race. Alex drifted in and out of their orbit, handling her CEO duties but somehow always circling back to check on them. As afternoon faded toward evening, Jack found himself sitting with Alex on a picnic blanket, watching Emma get her face painted as a butterfly. "She's remarkable," Alex said softly. "You've done an amazing job with her." "I'm trying," Jack admitted. "Some days are harder than others." She asks about her mother, and I never know quite what to say. You tell her the truth, Alex said. That her mother was loved. That she still is. And that sometimes, terrible things happen that we can't control. Jack studied Alex's profile, struck by how well she understood. Voice of experience? She nodded, her gaze distant. My father's plane went down over the Pacific when I was 12. Military training exercise. That's why I became a pilot, to understand what happened to him, to master what took him from me. I never knew, Jack said quietly. In all our time together, you never mentioned it. We were young. Invincible. I didn't want to acknowledge vulnerability. She turned to him, her expression open in a way he'd rarely seen. But vulnerability isn't weakness, Jack. It's just being human. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park, Emma returned to their blanket, her face adorned with colorful butterfly wings. Look, Daddy. Miss Chen, do you like it? It's beautiful, Alex said. You make a perfect butterfly. Emma beamed, then yawned widely. I'm tired. Can we go home soon? Of course, copilot. Jack began gathering their things. I could give you a ride, Alex offered. My car's just over there. Jack hesitated, aware of the boundaries he'd carefully maintained. But Emma was already nodding enthusiastically, and he found himself accepting. The drive to Jack's modest apartment was filled with Emma's chatter about the day's adventures, her earlier shyness completely forgotten. When they arrived, she insisted Alex come up to see her room with all my planes. Jack shot Alex an apologetic look, but she waved it away. I'd be honored to see your aircraft collection, Emma. Emma's room was indeed a shrine to aviation, with model planes hanging from the ceiling and posters of famous aircraft on the walls. Jack watched as Alex knelt beside his daughter, listening intently as Emma explained each model with surprising technical accuracy. And this one's like the one Daddy used to fly, Emma said, pointing to a commercial airliner. Before the accident. Jack tensed, but Alex handled the moment with grace. Your daddy was one of the best pilots I've ever known, she told Emma. He could make a plane dance in the sky. Emma's eyes widened. Really? He never tells me about when he was a pilot. Maybe he should, Alex said gently, looking up at Jack. Because it's an important part of who he is. After Emma was tucked in bed, Jack walked Alex to the door, an awkward silence falling between them. Thank you, he finally said. For today. For being so good with her. She makes it easy. Alex paused, seeming to debate her next words. Jack, I've been thinking about our aviation communication project. The simulator tests are next week, and we need someone with real cockpit experience to evaluate the interface. Jack stiffened. I told you, I don't. It's just a simulator, she said quickly. No actual flying. But your insight would be invaluable. He wanted to refuse, to retreat to the safety of his grounded existence. But something in Alex's expression, hope, perhaps, or belief in him that he no longer felt himself, made him hesitate. I'll think about it, he conceded. Alex nodded, satisfied for now. That's all I ask. She turned to leave, then stopped. You know, Emma asked me something interesting while you were getting her water. She wanted to know if I was going to be her new mom. Jack's face flushed hot. Alex, I'm so sorry. She shouldn't have. I told her that wasn't something for me to answer, Alex interrupted gently. But I also told her that her dad is someone very special to me, and that I'm glad he's back in my life. With that, she left, leaving Jack standing in his doorway with emotions he'd long suppressed swirling like storm clouds on the horizon. The simulator session was scheduled for the following Thursday. Jack spent the days leading up to it in a state of growing anxiety, plagued by dreams of falling aircraft and screaming engines. Twice he nearly called Alex to cancel, but each time he thought of Emma's fascination with flight.